Major Raj stood at the airport gate, holding his small bag in one hand and his ticket in the other. He wore a plain white shirt, gray pants, and a calm smile. No one could guess that he was a national hero. No medals on his chest, no uniform. Just silence in his eyes. He had once saved hundreds of lives during the border conflict. Newspapers called him the Lion of the North. But today he stood alone, waiting unnoticed. A young flight attendant approached him. Her eyes looked unsure, like she didn't want to say something. "Sir, your seat has been changed," she said quietly. Raj looked at her, surprised. "Changed? I booked first class." "Yes, sir. There was an adjustment. You've been moved. To coach." Raj didn't argue. He didn't shout. He just nodded once. "All right," he said calmly. "Please show me the way." She seemed shocked by his simple answer. No anger, no complaints, just calm acceptance. She led him through the gate, her face stiff. Other passengers looked at Raj as he passed. Some stared, some whispered. "Isn't that Major Raj?" one man said under his breath. "I think so." "Why is he going to coach?" asked another. "Must have done something wrong," someone else replied. But no one asked him directly. No one spoke to him with respect. They just watched him like he was something strange, like a puzzle they didn't understand. As he entered the plane, the air hostess standing at the door smiled at him. But it was fake. It was forced. "Welcome aboard, sir," she said without looking him in the eyes. Raj smiled kindly. "Thank you." He walked past the luxurious first-class seats, the wide chairs, the soft blankets, the glasses of juice waiting. His name had been on one of those seats. Now it wasn't. He walked down the narrow aisle to the back of the plane. Coach class was full. Crying babies, tired faces, cramped seats. He found his place, seat 29B, in the middle, between a young man with headphones and an old lady reading a book. He placed his small bag in the overhead bin and sat down slowly. His knees touched the seat in front of him. He folded his hands in his lap and looked straight ahead. The man beside him kept looking at him from the side. "Are you Major Raj?" he finally asked. Raj turned to him and smiled gently. "Yes." The man blinked. "But you're sitting here?" Raj nodded. "It's just a seat." The man looked confused. "But you're a national hero. Everyone knows you. Why are they treating you like this?" Raj didn't answer. He just looked out the window. The engines started. The plane began to move. A few rows behind, a small boy looked at Raj with wide eyes. He pulled on his mother's sleeve. "Mom, that's the soldier from the news," he whispered loudly. His mother looked at Raj, then quickly turned back and hushed the boy. "Don't stare. Stay quiet." "But he's a hero." The mother pulled her son's face away. "That was years ago. Things change." Raj heard every word. Still, he said nothing. A flight attendant came down the aisle, pushing a cart. She stopped at Raj's row. "Meal?" she asked, not making eye contact. Raj looked up politely. "Yes, please." She gave him a cold sandwich, a small juice box, and a dry napkin. Then she moved on without a word. No one treated him with kindness. No one showed him respect. He opened the sandwich and took a bite. Dry, tasteless. But he kept eating, quietly, calmly. Flashbacks filled his mind, memories from the battlefield, running under gunfire, carrying wounded soldiers, holding his friend's hand as he took his last breath. And now, here he was, forgotten. But Raj didn't look angry. He looked peaceful, like a man who had already let go of pain. The flight continued. Hours passed. People watched movies. Children slept. But Raj just sat there, still. The man beside him spoke again. "Did you do something wrong?" he asked quietly. Raj looked at him. "No." "Then why are they treating you like this?" Raj smiled. Sometimes doing the right thing makes you unpopular. The man frowned. What do you mean? Raj looked forward again. Truth has a price. His words made the man silent. Halfway through the flight, a young woman across the aisle stared at Raj. She picked up her phone and opened a photo. She zoomed in on the face. It was him. She looked again, now sure. She was a journalist. She had written a small article about him 3 years ago. She remembered how proud the country was of him, and how suddenly his name disappeared from the media. She leaned over. "Excuse me, sir," she said gently. "Are you Major Raj?" "Yes," he replied kindly. "I remember your story. May I ask why you're here in coach?" Raj looked at her for a moment. "Because the world moves on." She didn't understand, but she felt something heavy in his words. She typed a quick message to her editor. "Major Raj is on my flight, sitting in coach. Looks like something's wrong. Should I talk to him?" Her editor replied fast. "Yes, ask him everything. This could be big." She looked at Raj again, but he had closed his eyes now. Resting. Quiet. Like a man who didn't need the world's approval anymore. The plane flew through the night sky, but inside, something deeper was flying. Questions, silence, and the feeling that a story was waiting to come out. A storm was coming. The plane moved smoothly through the sky. Inside the cabin, everything looked normal, but something felt different, like quiet tension was hiding in the air. Major Raj sat still in his seat, eyes closed, hands resting gently on his lap. He wasn't sleeping. He was just silent, listening, all. Around him, passengers were whispering, "That really is Major Raj. I saw his face on the news years ago. But what happened to him? Why is he back here with us? He must have done something. You don't move a hero to coach for no reason." The words floated through the cabin like wind, soft but sharp. The man sitting next to Raj kept looking at him, confused and uncomfortable. He finally turned and spoke. "Sir, I'm sorry for asking again, but I don't understand. You were honored by the president, right? You saved people. Everyone loved you. Why is no one treating you with respect?" Raj slowly opened his eyes. He didn't answer the question. Instead, he asked, "Do you believe respect should come from a seat?" The man paused. "No, sir. It should come from the heart." Raj nodded. "Then it's okay. Let the seat stay empty. My heart is full." The words touched something deep. The man looked down, ashamed that he'd judged too quickly. Farther down the aisle, the young reporter, Mira, was still staring. She couldn't stop thinking about Raj. His face looked tired but peaceful. His eyes were not broken, but they carried weight. She took out her phone again and began searching. Major Raj controversy. Major Raj transfer news. Why was Major Raj removed from Army? But there was nothing clear. Just one short headline from last year. Major Raj steps down quietly from his post. No official reason given. That was strange. A hero like him, no ceremony, no media coverage, just silence. Mira's fingers moved fast. She messaged her editor again. "Something's wrong." "I think this was a forced silence." The reply came quickly. "Get the full story. But don't push him too hard. He's still respected." Back in the seat, Raj closed his eyes again. But the past wouldn't let him rest. He remembered the day everything changed. He had reported a senior officer who was stealing funds meant for soldiers' families. Raj had proof, documents, messages, even photos. He took it straight to the top, but instead of reward, they gave him a warning. "Stay quiet, Major. Don't ruin the Army's image." He refused. He said the Army's true image was built on truth, not lies. 3 days later, he was asked to resign. No public shame, no official record, just silence. And now, he was here. Not because he failed, but because he stood up. In the cabin a few rows ahead, the young boy from earlier kept turning back to look at Raj. Mom, can I go say hello to him? The boy whispered. No, she said sharply. Sit down. Don't get involved. But he's a hero. Shh. She looked around nervously. Maybe he did something wrong. We don't know. The boy looked confused. He looks nice. The mother sighed. Sometimes people are not what they seem. The boy looked at Raj one last time and stayed quiet. But the words hurt him. A few seats across, a middle-aged woman with gray hair had been listening. She leaned closer to the boy's mother. You know, she said softly, my brother served under Major Raj. The woman looked surprised. Really? Yes. He said Raj was the only officer who didn't take bribes, always ate with the soldiers. Never asked for special treatment. The boy's eyes lit up. See, Mom? I told you, the older woman continued. He saved my brother's life. Carried him on his back for 2 hours through gunfire. They were under attack. He didn't run. He fought alone until backup came. The boy's mother looked down, speechless. Word spread quietly. Row by row, people began to whisper a new kind of message. Did you hear what he did during the war? He stood against corruption, I think. They punished him for telling the truth. No way. That's wrong. Even the flight attendants started hearing the buzz. One of them whispered to another, Do you think we should move him back to first class? I don't know. Orders came from higher up. But it feels wrong. Near the front of the plane, the head attendant picked up the phone and called the cockpit. Captain, we have a situation. The passengers are talking. They recognize Major Raj. Some are upset. The captain replied calmly, Stick to the orders. Don't change anything. We land in 2 hours. Back in coach, Mira stood up slowly and walked to Raj's row. Excuse me, sir, she said softly. Raj looked at her. Yes? My name is Mira. I'm a reporter. I wanted to say thank you for everything you've done. He looked surprised. How do you know what I've done? I remember your story, and I believe there's more that people need to know. Mira sat back in her seat, her heart beating fast. She had spoken to Major Raj. He was calm, kind, and strong, but behind his peaceful eyes, she could feel something heavy, something buried, something that the world had forgotten, or was forced to forget. She opened her laptop and began typing. He once saved the lives of over 300 soldiers. He was called the Lion of the North. But now, Major Raj sits alone in coach class, ignored by the very country he served. Why? I think the truth is being hidden. She stopped and looked at him again. He was still sitting quietly in seat 29B, hands folded, head slightly down, as if lost in deep thought. Suddenly she remembered a file. 2 years ago, she had received a tip from a soldier about corruption in the army, a secret report. She had tried to follow the story, but it disappeared. Sources went silent. One even called her late at night and whispered, Don't ask questions about Major Raj, it's dangerous. Now it all made sense. She clicked open her old email and searched. Major Raj. There it was, a file she had saved, but never published. The subject line said, Raj's report, evidence against command. She opened it. It was full of scanned papers, official letters, signed documents, and photos of money being transferred secretly. It showed names of high-ranking officers who had stolen funds meant for soldier families and supplies. And at the bottom of the file was Raj's final note to the ministry. I am reporting this not for myself, but for every soldier who trusts his leader. If I am punished for this, so be it. But I will not stay silent. Mira's hands shook. This was it. The truth. The reason he had been pushed aside. She looked at him again. He wasn't broken. He was standing in silence. For the truth. Suddenly, a loud voice came from the row behind her. I knew it! I told you! A man said loudly. He reported the corruption, and they threw him out! Several passengers turned to look. Others began whispering again. This time, the whispers grew stronger. "That's not fair." He stood up for the right thing. "We need to do something." One man got up and walked to Raj. "Sir," he said, "I don't know if you remember me. I served under you at Camp West." Raj looked up, surprised. "I remember you, Prakash." The man smiled with emotion in his eyes. "You saved my life. You gave me your jacket in the snow. You never treated us like we were less than you." Raj gave a soft smile. "You were never less." Other passengers began listening. Then, one by one, more stood up. "Sir, I remember your speech at the academy. You made me believe in honor. My uncle told me stories about you. He cried when he talked about what you did. You carried a wounded soldier for 5 kilometers. You didn't even stop for your own injury." Soon, almost the whole back of the plane was standing. The mood had changed completely. A flight attendant rushed down the aisle. "Please, everyone, stay seated." But one man raised his voice. "Why is he in coach? He deserves more than first class." The passengers clapped, loudly. Even those who didn't know who Raj was were now standing up for him. The head flight attendant looked panicked and rushed to the front. In the cockpit, the co-pilot looked back as the noise increased. "Captain, this is getting serious. The passengers are upset." The captain frowned. "Tell command we need instructions." Meanwhile, Mira took a deep breath. She stood up, held her phone up, and began recording. She spoke into the camera. "This is Mira Das, reporting from Flight 709. Major Raj, the national hero who risked everything to fight corruption, is sitting here in coach, silenced, ignored. But today, the truth is flying again. The people are standing with him. His story is not over." She turned the camera toward the passengers. They were all clapping now, some shouting, "Honor Raj! Bring justice!" Raj looked around, stunned. He didn't ask for this. He had accepted silence. But now, the silence was breaking. Mira's video went live as soon as the plane connected to in-flight Wi-Fi. Within minutes, it spread across social media. Justice for Raj began trending. People back on the ground were shocked. Why was our hero hidden? Like this? Bring back Raj's honor. Truth will rise. Reporters from other news agencies began calling the airline. What's happening on Flight 709? Why is Major Raj in coach? Why was he punished for telling the truth? At 37,000 feet in the sky, a new storm was rising. Not of wind, but of truth. And Major Raj? He didn't stand up. He didn't shout. He just sat there, eyes wide, heart still, as the people spoke for him. For the first time in years, he felt something return. Hope. The moment Mira's video went live, the world began to move. Within an hour, her post had over 2 million views. Newsrooms across the country buzzed with noise. Editors shouted, "Who has his full story? Get the video on air now. Find his old case files. Everything." TV anchors stared at their screens in shock. This is breaking news. Major Raj, a decorated war hero, is sitting in coach class, quietly pushed aside by the very system he served. The public wants answers. On the ground, people were waking up to the truth. Mothers who had lost sons in war wept as they watched the video. Soldiers in army camps stood in silence, saluting the screen. Children in schools asked their teachers, why did they do this to our hero? And at the heart of it all was one man quietly sitting in seat 29B, 37,000 feet above the earth. The airline received thousands of messages within hours. Honor Major Raj. Move him to first class. Apologize to our hero. Even the airline's CEO was forced to call the flight captain. Captain, he said with a serious voice, upgrade Major Raj to first class immediately and apologize. On record, the captain sighed. We're almost landing. It might create a bigger scene. The CEO replied firmly, Then let the world see what we do now. Fix it before we land. Back inside the plane, the mood had changed completely. Flight attendants walked down the aisle with careful steps. Their faces showed guilt. The head attendant stopped at seat 29B and bent down. "Sir, I want to apologize on behalf of the airline. We didn't know the full story. You were ordered to sit here. But that was wrong." Raj looked at her gently. "You don't need to apologize. I didn't come here for a seat." She smiled with emotion in her eyes. "But you deserve it." She turned and made an announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in honoring Major Raj, a true national hero. We are moving him to first class, where he should have been from the beginning." The passengers clapped loudly. Some stood. Some cried. As Raj stood up, everyone watched in silence. He walked down the aisle slowly, but each step felt heavy, not because of pain, but because of memory. For years he had carried the truth alone. Now the people were carrying him. As he entered, first class, even the captain stepped out to meet him. "Sir," the captain said, saluting him, "I'm proud to fly with you on board. Please forgive our delay in showing you respect." Raj simply nodded. "Thank you, Captain. But the true honor is in the truth." Meanwhile, on the ground, news channels exploded. Every screen showed his picture. Who tried to silence Major Raj? Leaked files show Major Raj was punished for exposing corruption. Social media stands with Raj. Dr. Justice for Raj reaches 10 million posts. A special panel of journalists and former army men sat live on national TV. One of them, a retired colonel, said with anger, "He was one of the bravest officers we had, and we threw him away? This must be corrected." The government stayed silent for hours until pressure became too big. Finally, a statement was released. "We are reviewing the case of Major Raj. A full inquiry will be opened. If injustice was done, steps will be taken." But the public didn't want just promises. They wanted justice. Back on the plane, Mira sat silently in her seat. Her eyes were filled with tears, not of sadness, but pride. She had started a fire with the truth, and now it couldn't be stopped. She looked down at her notebook and wrote, "One man with truth in his heart can shake a system built on lies." As the plane prepared to land, phones began buzzing across the country. News vans waited at the airport. Crowds began forming outside the arrival gate. People held signs. "We stand with Raj. Truth never dies. Bring him back to the Army." Inside the plane, Raj looked out the window. Bright lights, flashing cameras, and a crowd were waiting. He turned to Mira, who had come forward to walk with him. "I never wanted fame," he said. She nodded. "But the truth found you again, and the people needed your voice." The tires hit the ground. The plane slowed, and outside the glass, history waited. The plane came to a stop at Gate 7. The captain's voice echoed through the cabin, calm but full of emotion. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It has been our honor to fly with Major Raj today." People clapped again. Some even wiped their eyes. But what waited outside was something no one expected. Through the windows, Raj could see them. Hundreds of people behind the glass walls of the airport. Some held signs, some waved flags. Others just stood in silence, all waiting for him. A flight attendant came forward. "Sir, the airport staff has asked if you'd like to leave first. The media is waiting too." Raj stood still. He looked at Mira beside him and asked softly, "Why are they here?" She smiled, her voice shaking a little. "Because you stood for truth, and now they're standing for you." The doors opened. A long jet bridge stretched ahead. Raj walked slowly. His boots touched the ground, and the sound of clapping burst through the walls. Security guards led the way. But they weren't just there to protect him. Some of them saluted him as he passed. One of them whispered, "Sir, you were my role model in the army. I joined because of your story." Raj nodded silently. At the end of the tunnel, flashing lights blinded him for a second. Cameras, microphones, reporters, all shouting questions. "Major Raj, do you have a message for the country? Will you return to the army? Did they punish you for reporting corruption? What do you want now?" But he didn't answer. He looked to the left, where the real people stood. Men, women, children, ordinary citizens. Some had tears. Some just smiled. A small boy broke through the crowd and ran to him with a rose. Raj bent down. The boy gave him the flower and said softly, "Thank you for being brave." Raj held the flower tightly. "Thank you for believing in me." The boy's mother came forward and hugged him. "My husband died in the war. He used to speak about you with great respect. You were his hero." Raj closed his eyes. Her words hit deep. And just then, something even more surprising happened. A group of retired army officers walked through the crowd. Some had canes. Others had medals on their jackets. They walked up to Raj and stood in a line. Then, one by one, they saluted him. "Major Raj," said the oldest one, "on behalf of those who served and those who were forgotten, we thank you. You reminded the country what honor truly means." The people around them began to clap. The sound grew louder. It wasn't noise anymore. It was respect, real, raw, and powerful. Raj stood silently. He didn't raise his hand. He didn't speak, but his eyes were full of emotion. Tears didn't fall, but everyone could see the weight he had carried was finally being lifted. Reporters kept asking questions. Politicians started tweeting messages. News channels showed his walk live. The hero returns became the #1 trend worldwide. But Raj didn't care about fame. He only cared about one thing, that the truth was alive again. Just then, Mira received a message on her phone. It was from someone inside the Ministry of Defense. She read it aloud to Raj. "Tell Major Raj that the minister wants to meet him immediately." Raj looked at her calmly, then looked at the crowd again, and said only one thing. "I will go, but not for them, for the soldiers who can't speak anymore." The crowd cheered. The people knew. This story was not over yet. A black car waited outside the airport. The driver opened the back door as Raj stepped forward. Mira stood beside him, holding her notebook and phone. The security officer said, "Sir, only you are allowed inside the ministry." Mira nodded. "I'll wait here." Raj looked at her. "You already did enough. The truth reached the people because of you." She smiled. "Now it's your turn." The car doors closed, and the vehicle sped off toward the heart of the city, to the Ministry of Defense. Inside the building, everything was quiet. Too quiet. Guards saluted as he walked past, their faces stiff but respectful. The hallway was long, filled with framed photos of soldiers and battles. Raj stopped at one. It was a photo from his own mission, years ago. He saw himself, standing with his team, smiling in uniform. He whispered, "You all deserved better." A door at the end opened. A man in a suit stood there. Major Raj, the E. "Minister is waiting." He walked in slowly. The room was large, silent, and cold. At the far end sat the defense minister, a powerful man with silver hair, sharp eyes, and a calm voice. "Welcome, Major," he said. "Please have a seat." Raj didn't sit. He stood tall. "I didn't come here to be welcomed. I came here for answers." The minister folded his hands. "I understand." There was a long pause. Then the minister said, "You made things difficult. You exposed something we were not ready to face." Raj replied, his voice steady, "You were not ready? Or you didn't want the truth to come out?" The minister sighed. Corruption has roots in many places, Major. You stepped on powerful toes. Raj stepped forward. And for that, you buried my name. You put me in coach. You let people forget me. The minister stood up. And yet here you are, stronger than ever. The people support you. The media praises you. He walked to the window and looked out. You've become a symbol, a storm, and storms cannot be ignored. Raj asked firmly. Why did you call me here? The minister turned around. To offer you something. Raj raised an eyebrow. A reward? No, said the minister. A deal. Raj said nothing. The minister continued. We will clear your name, publicly. We will restore your honor, give you your title back, even offer a top post. And what do you want in return? Raj asked coldly. The minister looked him straight in the eye. Silence. We want the noise to end. No more reports, no more interviews, no more investigations. Let the system heal, quietly. Raj took a deep breath. Then he said something the minister didn't expect. Truth doesn't heal in silence, it heals in light. The minister frowned. Think carefully, Major. This is your chance. You will be respected again. You will be rich, safe. Raj stepped back. I didn't fight for rank. I didn't carry wounded men on my back for medals. I did it for the men beside me. For this country. He turned to leave. The minister called out, If you walk out that door, the war begins again. Raj looked over his shoulder. Then let it begin, he said. This time, I'm not alone. He walked out, his boots hitting the marble floor like thunder. Outside, Mira was still waiting. When she saw his face, she stood up quickly. Well, she asked. Raj said calmly, They offered me silence. And what did you choose? She asked. He looked at her. I chose the truth. The news broke the next morning. Major Raj refuses secret deal from the defense ministry. He chooses truth over position, honor over silence. The nation stands with him. Social media exploded. Millions of people shared his story. His video clip spread across every screen, every phone, every heart. Children in schools wrote essays about him. Old soldiers cried in front of their TVs. Even people in small villages knew his name now. Raj was no longer just a man. He was a voice. A voice for those who were forgotten. A voice for soldiers who never came back. A voice for truth. Mira uploaded a new video that day. She looked straight into the camera and said, He could have taken the offer. He could have lived quietly with medals and money, but he chose us instead. He chose the truth. What will we choose now? The video ended with a photo of Raj standing in front of the ministry, refusing to bow. Voice of the people began trending. Students organized peaceful marches. Veterans held candlelight vigils. Young officers in the army started asking questions. What really happened to Major Raj? Pressure grew. The Prime Minister finally made a public statement. A special investigation will begin. All files related to Major Raj's past mission and punishment will be opened. The people deserve to know the truth. That night, Raj and Mira sat on a rooftop, looking at the city lights. I never wanted this, Raj said quietly. Mira replied, but the country needed it. He looked at her. What if they attack me again? Try to ruin me in a new way. Smiled softly. Then we fight again, not with weapons, but with truth, words, and people. A few days later, Raj was invited to speak at a huge gathering, a hall filled with 10,000 people and millions more watching live on TV. He stepped onto the stage. No fancy uniform, no medals, just a simple white shirt. But the room went silent. As he raised his hand, then in the most powerful voice he spoke. They tried to bury me, but they forgot. I was a seed. I didn't fight for power. I fought for justice. I didn't bleed for rank. I bled for peace, and I am not the only one. There are thousands like me, men and women who gave everything and were thrown away. But now, I'm not speaking alone. Now we all speak together. The crowd stood up, clapping, crying, cheering. Raj's voice became the voice of a movement, not just for soldiers, but for every silent fighter who had ever been ignored, disrespected, or forgotten. 1 month later, the name Major Raj was no longer just part of military history. It was part of something bigger, a movement for truth, for justice, and for change. The investigation ordered by the Prime Minister revealed everything. Yes, Raj had reported corruption. Yes, he had saved lives during a failed mission. And yes, he had been punished not for failure, but for honesty. The officers who covered it up were removed. His rank was restored. He was offered a top post again, general advisor, even higher than before. But, once again, Raj said no. He told them kindly, "I don't want to sit in an office. I want to walk with the people." And that's what he did. Raj started visiting schools, hospitals, villages, wherever people felt forgotten, he showed up. He began a small foundation, the Truth March. Its mission was clear: support honest officers, protect whistleblowers, and honor forgotten heroes. Mira stood beside him, still recording, still writing, still fearless. They built a team of young people, ex-soldiers, students, journalists, all ready to fight with truth, not weapons. One day, a young officer approached Raj at an event. He said, "Sir, because of you, I didn't quit. I stayed. I'll fight from inside the system." Raj smiled. That's where the real battle is. The people began calling him by a new name, the People's Major. He had no rank in government, no power in politics, but he had something far greater: the respect of the nation. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Raj sat quietly on a bench outside a school he had just visited. A small boy sat beside him and asked, "Sir, are you a superhero?" Raj looked down and chuckled softly. "No, I'm not a superhero." The boy frowned. "But you help people." Raj nodded. "I just tell the truth, and I protect those who can't protect themselves." The boy thought for a moment, then said, "Then maybe that's what a real hero is." Raj didn't answer. He just smiled, looking at the sky, because deep down, he knew his fight was never about war. It was about honor. And that fight never ends.